Begin afresh every morning. Devotional thoughts for women.
Good morning, dear friends. Today, August 28, 2023, our devotional is entitled 10 Promises. The scripture reading is taken from Zechariah chapter 8, verse 13. And it shall come to pass that just as you were a curse among the nations, O house of Judah and house of Israel, so I will save you, and you shall be a blessing. Do not fear, let your hands be strong. Zechariah was a priest and prophet born into exile who focused on the reconstruction of the temple. He centered his message on the spiritual transformation of the people. He used difficult language and unusual images, but the central theme of his book is that God has a better future for his faithful children. Zechariah reproached the Israelites for their sins, and he described the restoration as a result of obedience. He assures us that nothing we do for God goes unnoticed. God is in control of everything. There is nothing to fear if we remain obedient. Honoring his name, which means God remembers, Zechariah assures us that God has not forgotten us, that he keeps his promises, permits tribulation, invites us to have a dialogue with him, and gives us a vision of his coming. The 8th chapter of his book contains 10 promises introduced with the phrase, "Thus says the Lord," to certify that they were trustworthy. God watches over us. He lives amongst us. Nothing is impossible for him. He will save and reunite his people. He will strengthen your hands. You will be a blessing. He calls for social justice. Your mournful fast will turn to joy. Your faith will be attractive to others. He will always be with you. God's divine plan was for the restored Israel to accept the glorious destiny he had prepared for them. They could have enjoyed material prosperity and spiritual power if they had worked in harmony with heaven's plans, but they did not obey the conditions to receiving the promise. God chose you as a spiritual Israel. You are in time to hear his voice and to mend your ways before the time of grace concludes. In every age there is given to men their day of light and privilege, a probationary time in which they may become reconciled to God. But there is a limit to this grace. Mercy may plead for years and be slighted and rejected, but there comes a time when mercy makes her last plea. The heart becomes so hardened that it ceases to respond to the Spirit of God. Then the sweet, winning voice entreats the sinner no longer, and reproofs and warnings cease. Pray that these 10 promises might be fulfilled in your life.